Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and I have with me on this episode Josiah. How are you doing, Josiah?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Doing pretty well. How about yourself, Bobby?
I'm doing good. It's been a nice warm weather yesterday. Today's a little cloudy, but I think it's going to be a good day. But it's always a good day to have a good day. Am I right?
That's right.
So the reason I had you on the show is, of course, we've known each other for a few years, right? And you were on Team Latitude 64, but you actually worked for Discmania for a while, and now, of course, you're doing a lot more within the whole Discmania House of Discs. And I was like, man, I want to learn more about it. But I thought maybe our audience would appreciate what you have going on as far as sales and how a disc ends up in a disc golf store. It's not quite, I'm assuming it's as simple, but not quite as simple as some people might make it out to be. So I thought it might make for an interesting topic. But first, let's get to know you a little bit more, Josiah. Tell us real quick, what got you started in disc golf?
Man, that's a while back. I'd say probably 2016 or so. My brother Kyle Griffin was one of the top players in the state in Colorado, and he was coming home after playing tournaments, just playing rounds with his friends, and I didn't really care. I thought it was kind of a dumb sport, to be honest with you. And he dragged me out a few times, and I still didn't like it. And actually he would go to this putter course, and he'd give me just a putter to throw. He wouldn't let me throw anything else, but he taught me how to throw a turbo putt.
Oh,
And I just started banging them from range, like 70, 80 feet, very consistently. And then I fell in love with disc golf because of that. Like, it wasn't like I threw super far and then I got obsessed, but like that came a little bit later. And almost instantly got a PDGA and jumped in the MA1 field and tried to just, follow in his footsteps a little bit, because he was competing at a very high level in Colorado, keeping up with guys like Joe Revere and Joel Freeman and Eagle, all those guys that were out there at the time. So it's kind of how it started, and then it snowballed into a lot more.
so talk about that. What take us along that path a little bit about where you started, fell in love with it, got crazy about disc golf. It's a lot of people that seems to be the story, is they have a few good shots and then now they're in love with the sport. But take us on that path of where we're at now.
Yeah, it just, it's continued with him. I was like, I want to play tournaments, and so me and my brother started driving to tournaments together and competing in like the local C tiers, B tiers, A tiers. And I think my first year, I was just getting stomped because I didn't really learn too much about it, or like practice too much before just jumping in the fire of tournaments. So yeah, I got a PGA in 2017, started playing. I got my first couple of wins actually in MA1 in 2017, and kind of started to make a little name in the Colorado scene. And obviously me and my brother together traveling everywhere, everybody kind of starts to get to know you. And at the time, he was actually on Latitude 64. He was on the team for I think 4 years. And in that transition, in like that 2018, 2019, that's when Discmania moved to Colorado. And so he actually switched from Latitude to Discmania, and I like took his spot on Latitude. And at the beginning, I think it was beginning of 2018. So 1 year into playing, I got sponsored, kind of by a default, but also we knew, it was Taco. Brian Shintaku was the team manager at the time, great guy. And he welcomed me in, and so I got sponsored, 1 year after playing disc golf. So it it elevated everything to make me want to play even more. So I just continued to grind out tournaments, and then in the same vein, we're running leagues. Northgate Disc Golf Club in Wellington, Fort Collins now. That was started by my brother and John Reed out of Windsor, one of my best friends. And then I kind of helped him carry the torch for a long time. But we you know they've blown up to a massive club at this point. But yeah, just so many cool people surrounding me too. Like I mean, I got to sit and chat and play with people like Tyler Liebman, and I know you know the name Brendan Hickman if
Mhm.
any of the old DD people remember, Connor Mitz and all these incredible players around me. So like you elevate your game after that, and so it forced me to really want to push this competition thing a little bit more.
Yeah, tell me about that. You said you got sponsored just 1 year into it. Do you think that that was a little maybe a little too much pressure, or how did that make you feel as far as, "Man, now what am I gonna do with the game?"
I mean, it hyped me up, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like at the time, I really wanted to chase that pro tour. Get a van, go on tour. I mean, I stayed in MA1 for the entire 2018 season. Got a bunch of wins. I mean, I think I got 8+ wins or 9 wins in that season. And then I had goals of going to like AM Worlds, AM Nationals, and it didn't really pan out. So like quarter of the way through the 2019 season, I just moved up to open and kind of just stuck there. Like I'm just going to start taking cash. And at the same time, I got hired on by Discmania. And if anybody in the industry can tell you, like once you start working in the industry, your tournament dreams and your disc golf game goes down. And like I still don't believe that to this day, but it's kind of proven to be true.
Yeah, at Disc South, I was at Disc South, and the topic came up on a panel I was on, and I said it. I was like, I never played less disc golf until I actually started working in disc golf, which was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. It's just, I mean, you're working around it all day, and then you want to go throw. It's getting dark. It's cold. I don't know. So I
So
was
okay,
like
so
strictly tournaments at that point.
yeah, I noticed in 2021, I'm looking at your PDJ page. In 2021, you did play a couple of, they were called NTs or National Tour, and this was,
Hmm.
before Disc Golf Pro Tour became a big thing. Uh, these were the big events, the NTs. So it looked like you tried to get into a little bit of the bigger stage. You played a lot of A tiers, B tiers, a lot of C tiers, but played a few NTs. So it does look like at some. So when did you get hired at Discmania?
So I got hired in early 2000 or August of 2019.
Okay, so even
So a
then, even
year
after.
after, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were still trying to play some of the bigger events, but like you said, working in disc golf kinda hinders maybe a little bit of the dreams of going big. So at some point, did you have to make that decision? You're like, "Either I'm going to go big as a player or I'm going to go big as working in disc golf." Was that an actual decision, or did it just kinda happen that way?
I want to say it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I didn't really like those tournaments. It was like, we had an opportunity to go out and we got in because it didn't take you being 1020 rated to get into an NT at that time. It
Yeah.
was, I think I was 970 when I got in there, and it was when I got into, I think it was Las Vegas Challenge. I think the tier to get in was 970 plus. So like I was able to go play.
Yeah.
But no, I think I mean, I still think of myself as a good player, and I still like to go and compete and go play tournaments. I just don't really get the practice, and I don't have as much of that dedication towards that. And I wouldn't say that it was just like a decision made. It was kind of just like, yeah, it just kind of happened. Through time, when you're putting so much time and effort into different things, you can't focus all on your game. Like these players today, like they put so much time, so much work, so much effort into perfecting their game. And it's not really feasible when you have a million other things to do.
Yeah, I hear you. So, and just to get to know you a little bit more too, I'm looking at your Instagram and I see a lot of posts with a guitar, and I see the
Ukulele.
music, a ukulele. Oh, okay, okay. It's like a okay, that makes sense. One of the pictures, it's like really close, so it looks like a guitar. But okay, and another one, I see you
Hmm.
holding it, so definitely the ukulele. And then there's the music Goose. So
Mhm.
of course I know that from our little internal messaging board that you've put out some songs and that are actually out on Spotify. So tell me a little bit about the music background. What's going on there?
Man, so that's a good one. It's a great question. Music's been in my family for as long as I could remember. You know, I grew up with three older brothers, and my dad is you know, one of the most incredible musicians I've ever seen. So I got to, grow up, and I grew up in the church where he, would lead worship, and he also has written, I think, 3 or 4 albums. And my oldest brother Justin was drumming on those albums in the early days, and then my brother Kyle was on them, and then I was on them, and it was kind of like a family thing, and um but I just remember as a little kid, like, going downstairs and, you know, mimicking my brother Justin on the drums. Incredible drummer. And I was 6 years old on my little kit, and as long as I can remember, I was a drummer, and music was just part of our family. And that kind of spread into me and my brother Kyle starting to play a lot of music together. After traveling a ton with my parents playing music together, me and him kind of started to form our own little thing. We put out quite a few songs on all the platforms as well, and we've done a lot of shows together. Um, and I'm at the point now. I'm kind of living alone and across the country from him, and kind of started to, write my own songs and kind of branch off into, you know, seeing how to do that and how to mix and master and produce and record and do it all by myself. So everything on there is everything that I've just done alone. But
Wow.
um, there's been
Well,
a little bit
nowadays
of
with
help along the way, but
yeah.
it's
Well, with the
interesting.
technologies today, I could see where that's possible to kind of, mix, master, and write all your stuff.
hmm
Who are some of your musical inspirations and that you lean on when it comes to writing?
Um, I mean, other than like the people around me that I've grown up with, I mean, if you're talking like bigger bands, I'd say, I don't know, I've always liked, Royal Blood, and 21 Pilots is up there. Those are a couple like two-man groups, and they find ways of making sound with two people, and that's like making it sound like an entire band, with
Yeah.
two people. And that's kind of how me and my brother wrote a lot and played. Like, we played a lot of live shows like that, loop pedals, and being very creative with, the small amount that you have. So
Yeah.
I'd say a couple of those guys. And obviously, I grew up playing a lot of metal, drumming to a lot of metal. So, all my emo friends out there, like A Day to Remember, and um Pierce the Veil, Falling in Reverse, all those fun ones. So
Nice. Let's take a look real quick at because I want to ask you about this. I'm going to ask for our audio listeners. I'm going to bring up his Instagram so we can look at. So tell me what I'm looking at. There's one picture that says the music goose Josiah Griffin. It's got a cartoon image of you riding a goose playing the
hmm
ukulele. So explain that. What's with the goose?
yeah, the Music Goose is a song that I wrote like a year ago, and I was like really sick one day, and I went and sat by this pond. I was sick for like 2 days straight, and I went and sat down by this pond, and I was like, I need to write a song. Like, I want to write a song, and I came up with this really cool progression, and I had no idea what to write about. And this goose like swims up to me at the pond and just kind of chilling there. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write this song about you. And I'm sitting there for probably 2.5 hours writing this song, and this goose did not move a muscle. Like, stayed there the entire time, just like vibing with me, watching me write this song. And I have a picture of him too.
Is it on here?
It's not on there, no,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately not. But he was just kicking it, and
Uh,
he
that's cool.
I was like right to the point where I was finishing it, but I couldn't finish the final verse, and he swims away, and then I'm like working through it, and then he swims back up, and then I was like, that's it. And so the final verse of the song is like him coming back. Um, but my friend Trisha Pacheco in Colorado, she's on our board and amazing artist. I asked her, I was like, hey, I was like, I want to do something really cool for this album cover, for this single cover. I was like, me playing my ukulele, writing a giant goose because it's the music Goose. And she's the one that drew that up and came up with that artwork. And it was better than I could ever imagine. But
That's so cool. I love the
it was
because
pretty
yeah,
sweet. Yeah.
I look at it and I'm thinking there's got to be some story behind that. That's an incredible story. That's pretty cool. I like that. When you want people to listen to your music, what do you want them to walk away feeling? What feeling do you want them to go away with when they listen to some of your music?
You know, I read a lot of different things and I'm working on a lot of different stuff to come out, but like I look at music as kind of like looking at a piece of art. You know, you walk into an art gallery and you know, someone who painted that had a certain intention in mind for themselves,
Mhm.
but maybe also for the consumer. But like when I walk in, I see something and I relate to it in my own mind. So I don't know, I look at music the same way. Um so when people hear my song, I want to hear what they got out of it, how it made them feel. And it's funny because one of my friends actually heard the Music Goose song and was like, "Oh, this is like you talking about leaving Colorado and starting a new life and you know doing all this stuff." And I was like, "Actually, no, it's just about a goose." But I don't know. I love that someone can take away whatever they want to from it, and so I think it's so it's such an art form that
Yeah.
that's the way I perceive it. And I'd like for people to take away exactly what they think, but I want to also hear what they took away from it. So,
Yeah, no, that is the beauty of art, in music and even in paintings and stuff is that people can interpret it different, and that's the beauty is that the artist had a reason for creating it, and they were doing it going through something or thinking about something, but it's so universal that whatever someone's going through, they interpret it from there, and I think that's fantastic. I love
yeah,
even, like,
for sure.
books. Like, I've read a few books, 2 or 3 times, and it always feels like you go away with something a little bit different because of what you're currently, going through, so that's pretty I like that, it's pretty cool. When
Hmm.
you write your songs, what is it? Is there I don't know if there's a typical way you get inspired, or is it in other words, are you like, "Okay, today I'm going to start working on a song, in 2 months I'm gonna have a song," or is it something happens and you go, "I need to put that in song." How do you usually get inspired?
Dude, it's so random. I mean, at least for
Yeah?
me, it's if I if I want to write a song and I sit down, I'm gonna write a song today. There's no way a song's coming from that. Usually,
Yeah.
like 9 times out of 10, that's not gonna happen that way. It's usually where I'm just kind of like sitting and I start doodling something. Like the other song that I put out, Catharsis, was written in about 10 minutes, just so sporadically. And it sounds like, you know, it's a lot deeper meaning, but like I, it all came to me so quickly. So I think it's just incredibly random how that can happen. It could take 2 months or it could take 2 minutes. So really, I couldn't even tell you exactly how because it's different every single time. So
When
it
you
just really
listen
depends on what's around you.
Yeah, when you listen to music, do you typically listen to music that is kind of in the genre of what you write, or what genre of music you typically listen to?
I'm all over the place.
All
You
over,
know,
right?
I love anything from metal to bluegrass to rap to you know contemporary to hip hop. Like I'm kind of all over the place. So it's really I don't really have a bad music bone in my body.
So,
You know,
what is the last song or album that you listen to? Or what do you listen or
wow.
what's on your what do you have, Spotify, Apple Music? What's on your playlist right now?
Spotify. I want to say it was Ruby Waters. She's one of my favorite female artists.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Ruby Waters. Okay, there
Nice.
you go. Marcus King Band as well, right before that. So
Nice. I've been on a, kind of a '80s, '90 kick. Of course, that's when I grew up, giving my age there. And I was listening to a little bit of In Excess last night. I don't know if you have you heard of In
In
Excess?
excess. I
You've
don't
never
think
heard?
so.
Oh, dude, you need the
Uh-uh.
INXS. They had a
Okay.
couple of really great hits, but yeah, there some good.
They're from the 80s?
I think it's '80s, either late '80s or early '90s. But
Okay.
they're good
Sounds like a
stuff.
90s band, but
Yeah. So yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, so let's get back to a little bit of disc golf.
Mhm.
So you're sponsored. You're. Let's talk a little bit about that. How you're on Team Latitude 64, but you're working for Discmania. And I know you and I have talked before how it was kind of you get razzed a little bit about it from the Discmania guys at the time.
Mhm.
So was that weird to be sponsored by one team but work for another team? How did that all work out?
It's a cool story actually. So after I was already sponsored for a year, that's when, Discmania moved into town, and actually Austin Montgomery called me up and he's like, "Hey, like, would you want to work here?" And I hadn't really known him all that well. I knew his brother pretty well, but like he had moved away before I started really playing disc golf. So we've known about each other, but he calls me up, didn't really know him super well, but he knew my brother really well. And he's like, "Do you want to work here?" And I was like, "Yeah, but like, how does that work?" um, but it was almost at the exact same time that Latitude started molding the
Mm,
evolution line for
mhm,
Discmania. But we were still working with Innova too, so it was just an interesting kind of thing. But um, it had been talked about at all the way at the top from the higher ups, and they were like, "Yeah, why not? If it's not like a crazy conflict of interest at this point, so he can work in the warehouse." And I was like, "Cool, like I'm probably the first or maybe one of the only people to ever do something like that. So like, let's do it. That sounds amazing." And so yeah, it was pretty wild because I think it was like my first 2 weeks uh at Discmania. We did a sports camp retreat, which is like where a lot of the all the US and then the Finnish part of the company comes over and we all kind of get together for a weekend. And so it's my first sports camp, and I show up there and it's, Avery Jenkins, Dana Vici, UC, Yuho, and the whole crew, Austin, everybody, and I'm decked out in Latitude. and, and I don't know if I was just like trying to be silly or something, but it was pretty. I don't know. Everyone was really cool about it, and of course, they made fun of me, but like
right.
it was a pretty bold move of me, I'd say, to show up like that, just this bright orange like Latitude hoodie, and wearing my Latitude around the warehouse for so long, and
Mhm.
obviously wear Discmania too, but it's always been kind of a funny like running little joke, like the Latitude boy, like,
Yeah,
so
I like it.
it was cool.
So what's the from going from a player that, discovered disc golf to competing to sponsored, now working in the disc golf industry, what was something that maybe the biggest surprise for you when you started working in disc golf?
um Sorry, how do you mean, like?
Well, like, I mean, you were playing it, you're competing, right? But now you're actually working in disc golf. Was there anything that maybe surprised you that you didn't think, uh, happened in behind the scenes as far as disc golf?
I mean, I don't know, I feel like I've always been. And I don't really it's hard to even really remember a time that I wasn't working in disc golf,
Mm,
like, so I guess, seeing how many discs and like, how many I guess the logistical side of it, yeah, was a little bit like, but at the same time, I was there for the COVID boom, and like to see kind of how big and massive that was, it was like, okay, this was just normal, is the way I thought. I was like, "Oh, this is how it is here. This is crazy." Um, I would say, I don't know, I'd say some of the drops, like, mystery boxes and certain things, like I would never expect that kind of volume as just like an outsider, but I also didn't really grow up in the game, so I didn't know too much about it really before
yeah.
I started working in the industry. Whereas a lot of people, like, learn every mold. They learn about all the background and all the history. I kind of just jumped in the fire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't really say there was a ton of like massive surprises that hit me. It was just kind of like this is how we operate. You're in now. I was like, okay.
So with that, with that perspective of, yeah, you're right. Your start was kind of when COVID boom, they call it, whatever bubble, whatever
Hmm.
really took off. So now looking back, now that we say the COVID, and I hear someone on social media where people are like, I'm tired of people blaming COVID. I'm tired. It's like, I get it, but I still read about other industries still trying to balance out and level out from what happened, the effects of the pandemic. But my
Hmm.
question, I guess, with this is that, what are some things you think maybe people misunderstand about the effect that COVID had on the disc golf industry as someone who worked in the disc golf industry?
I mean, the supply and demand was crazy at that time. And then trying to, yeah, like you said, trying to kind of balance that out. Like, I mean, we couldn't keep discs in the warehouse at that time, and I don't think anybody could. We couldn't get them produced fast enough. But then, like, yeah, it's the fluctuation of the sport is been wild over the last 6 or 7 years. Just up and down and ramping, and I mean, and people kind of stopping, and then other sports coming in, like something like pickleball. Like, it is true, like how it did kind of take over where we were headed in a certain sense. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of a tough question.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of fast forward a little bit. Now we all know the House of Discs happened, right? So now Discmania, Latitude, Dynamic, Westside, Castoplast, and the other Huck Lab and Handite. Now we're all in a sense under one roof. We still have our different objectives and initiatives, but a lot of things has happened just in the last 2 years, right? That I'm sure
Hmm.
affected you personally. That some people have seen, some people have speculated about, and of course some stuff that people don't see and may never know about. But how are you? How are you after all that the last couple years, as far as the waves and everything that's happened? How's that panned out for you?
Um, I'd say it's for me personally, it's panned out pretty well. There was a lot of there was a lot of tough situations that everybody kind of went through, and see a lot of people go, and I was pretty much the last one standing in the warehouse in Colorado, and then I was able to actually fortunately be able to move, had the option to move. But I had already kind of planned on leaving Colorado before I even knew any of that was happening, to come out, and I'm now in Ohio. I'm in the Midwest. Um, but yeah, I mean, there was just a lot of, it was kind of heartbreaking in a sense, and you see your friends kind of go, and things, but it's always ever changing, and you see, like, it's just kind of how I guess the industry is now and how it works, and what needed to happen, what needed to be done. I was, yeah, fortunate to be able to stick around and get a different position, which I kind of created for myself. I do traveling sales for the company now, and it was never really a thing, and it's always been something I really wanted to do, but never really found the way to present it or have, the actual way to do it. And I got to shout out David Weisblum, old Discmania employee, old Night Eyes salesman back in the day as well.
Night Eyes, wow.
He's been in the game for a long time. He actually helped me put together this entire sales pitch for everybody to try and go on the road and see if this would work. And it took us probably 2 months to build this pitch that I was able to present, and then get out on the road. I packed up my whole life. I sold everything I owned in Colorado, and stuffed everything into my car and moved out to Ohio. And I mean, off the top of my head, I'd say I've probably been to about 12 or 13 states since May of 25. So
Wow.
I hit the ground running real hard, and it's been awesome. But yeah, I mean the shift and the change with everything was it was astronomical. It was crazy to see, and it was really sad um in a lot of ways, and so it's just it's the nature of the beast, I guess, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So
But
take us through what your day to day is now as I don't know, is it safe to call you a sales rep or what's kind of like your title?
think I'm technically an account manager.
There
Uh,
you go.
but yeah, like traveling sales rep. So I don't know. I'd kind of call myself a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for the company at this point. Um, just kind of, I think basically what I do, unless I'm traveling, is I run a lot of the back end sales. So I talk to a lot of our customers, making a lot of calls every day. I build a lot of orders, work with a lot of team members as well from various teams in our umbrella, just whoever kind of needs help. Um, I work with all of our new dealers and kind of try to be that first one on the scene, like, hey, like, welcome, this is how you build an account. So I do a lot of back end work, and then I obviously have like my whole list of customers that I kind of handle that I've seen in person. So basically what I'll do is I'll travel to a certain state or city, and I have like a mark of people that I want to go visit and go see their store and go meet them and learn about who they are, and learn the names of their family, learn different things that people don't ever ask when we call on the phone. I want it to be genuine. And I mean, that's for me personally. It's for the company, but also like I get to build these relationships with these amazing people that, like, you know, for instance, I think about some of these guys that I've gone and seen. I packed their orders at Discmania for years. And now I get to go in your store and go and like actually meet you in person instead of calling you and asking you to spend more money. It's more like, hey, like, let's build a relationship. Let's hang out. Let's go play around. Let's go get lunch. I don't know. I mean, it's ever expanding because it's kind of just new, and I'm making it up as I go. But it's been working really well, and it's been really fruitful for me, and to have all these relationships, and to like these people can call me personally if they have any problems, if because they know who I am now. They've talked to me. They're like, oh, I can call up Josiah. Like, he's gonna set me straight. He's gonna hook me up. And it's nice to be able to have those relationships for sure.
So when you're visiting these stores or talking to them on the phone, what are some of the bigger challenges that they're dealing with right now?
Um, I'd say I'd say honestly it's more of the brick and mortars. People who have shifted to brick and mortar and online where they can sell in multiple different ways instead of just relying on people to walk in. I'd say most of them are struggling to sell anything, because they don't get a lot of traction, especially during the winter months when it's really cold. Like, people aren't walking in buying discs in the dead of winter. Um, so I'd say that's probably the biggest, and that's kind of my main focus out here is like to go into these brick and mortar stores and see how we can help them, whether it's a brick and mortar only release or something like, or giving as much free shipping, and trying to just alleviate some certain issues that they're dealing with, shipping costs and stuff. So I don't know. I really, that's like my main focus is the standalone brick and mortars that are like only disc golf, because there's not very many of them left that are like really thriving. Um, so that's really my main focus, and I think that's like probably the toughest part for them is just
Do
keeping
you
sales up.
Yeah, do you feel like these are like newer stores that maybe came along during the COVID boom, or are they existing stores?
Some of them, I mean, there are some that have been around for a long time, but there are some that, like I said, there are some that are really thriving, some that are doing really well, and I think it depends on where you're at in the region that you're in. Like, for instance, shout out Delwood Disc Golf. Those guys are awesome. Sean Callahan over there,
Yeah,
man, he's doing it right.
yeah.
He has the people surrounding him. He has the know-how. He has the course. he's smart though with it. And I think you need to dive into different avenues to make it work well. Whether it's sponsorships or having a Parks and Rec behind you, having course cleanup, obviously having a huge disc golf community helps. But I think it just depends. It just depends on really from what I've seen, it's location is kind of the biggest thing, and how big is the disc golf community in this location that you're in, and how often are they coming in here, or are they going somewhere else for their product? And those are the
Do you
questions that I ask.
So location, definitely. And of course, that's the old marketing and location, location, location. What are
hmm
some of the other things that you see the more successful stores doing to help cultivate people coming in and actually shopping?
I mean, I think events are huge. When you're running constant or consistently running leagues or glow events or putting leagues, or you have a reason for people to come in. For instance, like another round. Another round does really well because of their model and kind of the way that they welcome you in. You come in, sit down, have a beer, watch some disc golf, go play, come back. Like it's a welcoming model to like come in and hang out. Uh, I've seen people set up like tech disc, they have a whole
Mm-hmm.
net and they have the whole setup in there, and it's like come in and try out some different discs. And then like, they I think there's like a new brand I saw, and when I was in Tennessee, I think it's called Heiser. And I think they're out of Europe, but I tried it out and man, it was awesome. Like you can choose your disc. So it's like I'm gonna throw a C Line MD3, and it's pretty accurate to the flight too. And so like I think that's kind of cool. You can go in and you can test the disc before you even take it outside before you buy it.
That's crazy.
But attractions like that, like
Yeah.
people want to come in for stuff like that, and ping pong tables and couches, and like it's a welcoming atmosphere. You want people to be able to come in, hang out, buy discs. Those are the ones I've seen do really well. Or like I said, if they're hosting, if they're big enough to be able to host a putting league, or like right down the road from me, you got one of the most iconic disc golf stores, Hazy Shade in Dayton, Ohio. They do it right there. I've only been able to stop in a few times, but I went to a putting league like a couple months ago, and they got a big turf area, and they have like all these fake trees and this whole setup for a putting league. It's so much fun, man. And it's like,
So it sounds like not only providing them products to shop, but also creating an experience for them, which is definitely like from leaning in on my experience from when I worked at Shields, and that's what they do with a lot of their, a
mm-hmm,
lot of their stores have an actual Ferris wheel in their store because
yeah,
they're trying to create that experience. And I know that the House of Sports, the Dick's Sporting Goods, now has House of Sports. And the when Shields came in, the House of Sport or the Dick's Sporting Goods turned into House of Sports in Tulsa, and they actually added rock climbing and batting cages and stuff like that. So again, trying to add that experience. So that sounds like something that's beneficial for a store. You
it's like a
talked to,
place you want to go hang out. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And so,
exactly.
uh, so when you are talking to some of the stores, what are some of the questions they're asking?
Um, I mean, when it comes to, I guess that kind of depends. Is it like coming from an industry like standpoint, like asking about the company?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like when you're talking to them and getting to know them, are there questions that they ask you that listeners might find interesting?
yeah, I mean, there's quite a few different things. A lot. I get asked about players sometimes, and I get asked about certain things. But when it comes to like, I'm working directly with our customers, and so I do. I want them to tell me what's going, like what's hurting them, or ask me how I can help them or fix
Right.
something. And not a ton of like negatives, but there's certain things like why aren't these cheaper, or like why can't we we order more of this, or certain things like that. Certain things that are just completely out of my wheelhouse that I can't really, uh, change.
Right.
But I can bring this feedback. Like, I want to get their feedback. I want to be able to bring that up to the sales team, to people who aren't boots on the ground,
Right.
I'm seeing it firsthand. Like, my biggest thing is, like, how do you sell this? I see this has been on the shelf for a while, these don't sell well. Like, those are my questions that I ask. I don't know that I necessarily get asked a ton of questions. It's more me going in and asking the questions, and then taking that and using that feedback to help better their experience
Yeah.
as a store.
Would you say nowadays stores are more focused on? I know it sounds like an obvious question, but there might be something to unpack there. But are they more focused on top sellers, or are they interested in experimenting with maybe new molds or even new disc golf companies?
You know what's interesting is, I mean, there's a lot of them that, like, everyone buys, they have to buy the top sellers, or, whatnot. But there's a ton of stores. I'd say a high majority of the brick and mortar stores that I visit are leaned and geared towards the beginners. I'd
Really?
say that most of their business that comes through are new players. So, like, discs like the Diamond sells like crazy everywhere I go. That's usually the best seller out of all of our brands, for most stores. And so, like, I'd say a high majority of the people that come in their stores are beginner friendly, and that's what they more gear towards. So, um, I take that into account. There are stores that, you get the occasional pro coming in, or wanting that new drop, that new release, but you also got to think, like, some of these higher level pros, they don't buy discs. Like, I mean, I haven't bought a disc in 8 years. Like, why would I go into a store and buy a disc, right? Like,
Right.
if you're sponsored, you get them for free. So, but yeah, it's more geared towards the intermediate and the beginner level. So I'd say that those discs sell way faster. That's kind of more what they want to keep in stock. Um, Besides, obviously certain molds that, never can seem to stay on the shelf. But
Yeah. Do you notice any in talking to the different stores when they talk about what works and what doesn't work? What's like of a piece of advice to somebody who's listening that maybe owns a store about maybe what's the biggest mistake or what's a mistake that you often hear stores are making when it comes to stocking discs?
um, I'd say there's some people that just kind of need to stop buying so much. And I hate to say
Mhm.
that as, like, a
Right.
sales rep, but, like, it's like when you're overstocked on something, but you still want to be able to get the new release, the next new release. But I think, like, taking a step back and not thinking you need to have every single thing stocked, kind of look back on that inventory a little bit, maybe price some things down, maybe change a little bit of the model, maybe bring some different deals in or something if it's slowing down. Because I don't know, man, it's so hard, especially in our industry, to really guess how that's gonna work. And I guess, yeah, a big frustrations sometimes I see from some of our customers is, like, because we have so many brands, it's like you guys are dropping, you know, 5 different molds a week, and, like, some people can't keep up with all that, and so they're frustrated, but they're like, "Oh, but I still need to have it all." I'm like, "Well, all right, you maybe don't need to have it all." And, like, I recommend that they call me, like, especially people I visit. I'm like, "Hey, I've seen kind of the area, I've seen what sells in your store. Before you order this, give me a call," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I mean, I think that this would probably do well, or this maybe hold off on this one, or get less of this one for now." But I think most people really take it down to a science, and they get really good at ordering, and they get, a big understanding, especially these brick and mortar stores, these alone disc golf stores, like, they know how to order. They just don't always know if it's gonna do super well, especially if it's a new mold. But I think it's really just working together, and, like, I'll always leave my door open for anybody who just has those simplest of questions, you know.
Yeah. No,
So
I think that's great to have. Like you said, you have the knowledge of a lot of stores that you can give to one store. In other words, one store may not realize that certain stock style, not style, but certain molds do much better than other molds. So you're
mhm.
able to give that advice of yes, buy a lot of these, buy a few of these, just in case someone asks for it. But and it is a hard game to play as far as like if I buy 50 of one mold, will it sell out? Well, it's great if it sells out, but if it sells out too fast, should I have bought 70 of them, to make a little
Mhm.
bit more money? So yeah, I could see where that's
Or if
that.
they're only able to buy a certain amount of them and then they're like, "Hey, I need more." I'm like, "Well, I can't
Right.
give you more right now." But
Right. So
yeah, no, it's so hard to it's so hard to judge even now. Like it's still really hard for me to be like, "Yes, this is 100% going to sell in your store." Like, but I try my absolute best to do what I can for them. You know, I'm not out here to just bank money on these people to get them to come buy the product. Like, I only want you to buy the product if you're going to sell the product. I don't want that sitting in your store becoming dead stock. Because everyone in that area doesn't buy this brand or something like, so let's not keep that. Then let's keep stuff in there that's going to sell. Let's keep you on the track for success. That's my main goal. So
So when you're talking to the stores, are you getting any feedback on what influences people to come into the store? Are we talking they're watching tournament coverage and they want to see they're checking out what the pros are throwing, or are they watching content creators and social media, or is it more word of mouth?
I'd say it's a little bit of mix of those, but the main one is the local pros in the area. And I didn't really know that. It made sense after being in Ohio for a while, like, being around guys like out here. We're close to like Brad Schick. I know you probably know the name. He's kind of a legend in the Masters world. Really good
Mhm.
dude, but like people want to throw what the local pros around here throw in every area I'm at. It's like, oh, well, this person lives pretty close by, so most people come in and buy this brand because of that person. So I'd say honestly, more than anything, it's not even the videos as much as it is the local people, the local pros. But this is also talking about walking into a store. This isn't talking about ordering online. So
Right.
that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's based on like the better players in the area and what they throw. I want to throw what he's throwing.
Yeah.
So
What when you and still talking to stores, what would you think they would say as far as how does branding play into what they decide to carry?
um I think I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people really. There are a lot of people that are brand loyal, and especially in the area I'm in. To be honest with you, like I'm in Discraft MVP country. I'm pretty close to Michigan right now. Like a lot of people they stick to their brands. They stick to what they like to throw. There's some trilogy heads. There's some Discmania heads. Everyone, I think people are very, very much so brand loyal though, for the
Yeah.
most part. I see a lot of people with open bags and trying different things all the time, but like even if they're not sponsored, it's like I only throw this. I only throw Discraft. I only throw it. So it's they choose their brand and they stick with it.
Do you think that's
And
that's still the case? It's still like I can think back to years ago where that was like that was really the case where it's like I only throw this brand. Do you think that's still the same sentiment across disc golf, or you think that's changed at all?
I think it's definitely changed. I mean, at least in the tournament world, when I'm playing with certain people, it's like actually, unless they're sponsored, a lot of the players that I play with have pretty decently mixed bags. But there are I don't know. I think it's really just a little bit of both. I don't think it's really gone down that people choose a brand and stick with the brand. But I think a lot of the newer players coming up, especially players that started during COVID, man, they're really good. They all throw way farther than everybody,
Mhm.
and they just started a few years ago. It's like, okay, that's frustrating, but they all throw. I've seen a lot of these guys all throwing pretty open bags. So maybe there is a change coming, and I think it just constantly. slowly but surely fluctuates and plateaus and goes up and down all the time. But I do see, yeah, I feel like you're probably onto something. I see a lot of open bags for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I just
but
noticed
people
that with
throw
the
what flies well, you know?
right. I noticed that with some of the I don't play I need to play more leagues and go to more, tournaments and events here, but when I just go play with my buddies, that's what it seems like, is like it's really a mixed bag. And anytime I and they know where I work and stuff like that. So anytime they grab something new or I notice a new disc in their band, I'm like, "Hey, what made you decide to get that?"
Mm,
And so a lot of times they're like, "Oh, I heard Simon was throwing this," or "I saw so and so." It's not as many as top players, like top names. Like I'll mention different names and they'll not even know what pro I'm talking about. That's what I find
hmm.
interesting too, is they don't watch much, if any. They may watch Worlds and they may watch the final round, but they don't watch a lot of tournament coverage, which I find interesting. So what do you think overall as we wrap this up? What is your feeling of how the disc golf industry is doing? Are we still a healthy industry? Do you get the sense that
I think
is
so.
disc golf gonna be okay?
I think disc golf's gonna be okay. I
Yeah.
think it's I mean, in my mind, from when I started to now, like there's still just as many tournaments. There's, if not more, there's more courses popping up. There's more things happening. I think that on a higher level, we don't have the funding. I think when I think about like golf, it's great. We got Barbasol. That's so cool. I love that. That's a thing. But like until we get something bigger, I don't know. I don't see it being like. I think it's possible. I think it's possible to continue to trend up, but there's a fear of seeing it stay stagnant, and I don't want to see
Right.
it stay stagnant. If Rolex wants to get on board, that'd be pretty cool.
Rolex,
But
that's interesting.
I
I
mean,
don't
when they
know
sponsored the
I don't
PGA,
well, but I don't know
like,
many disc golfers that that play around in their Rolex, but maybe there are out there, I'm
I
sure.
mean, there's gonna be more. There's gonna be more if they get going. No, I think that we're still in a good spot. I just want to see it continue to trend upward, and more people to understand about the game. When I tell people what I do, like in the airport, random places, 90% of the time they just laugh in my face. I'm traveling for work. What do you do for work? I disc golf. You play? I'm like, no, I sell it. They're like, what? Like,
So
that's a
sad.
job. Like people pay
Yeah,
you for that. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, like it's a real thing. It's tough though. It's tough to be able to like. I have to explain it almost every trip I ever go on. Every time I'm in the airport, like I have to like break it down how it works and I don't think enough people know about it. Still to this day, like we have our communities in every city, but like there are certain places like Emporia, everybody knows what disc golf is because it's Emporia. But like you go to even somewhere like Charlotte who has tons and tons and tons of courses, there's people walking through the park that have no idea what's going on. And it's like this is like one of the most iconic courses in the world,
mhm,
like so I don't know. I think more people to understand what it is and not the stereotypical like go out, smoke weed and drink and
yeah.
and throw frisbees. Like I think that's like we're still under that very like big stereotype, but they don't really see the professional side of it.
So if there's any disc golf shop owners out there listening, or if you work at a disc golf shop or you're friends with somebody that owns a disc golf shop, what's a piece of advice you would give them right now?
Um I'd say just keep doing your thing and keep trying to innovate. Not that doesn't necessarily mean you have to, go online, but I think just coming up with new ideas and trying different models, just continue to try and innovate the best you can, and reach out for advice. Ask other people who have done it. What you should do next. This certain model failed, so let's try something different. But I think sticking through it is gonna pay off if you do it the right way. and maybe you do need to go online. Maybe you need to be 50-50, or maybe you need to get a liquor license. You know, I mean, it seems to work for a lot of people, but think outside the box. You know, think about different things. I'd say, you know, even bringing in other things like ping pong, like pool, if you have a big enough space for it. You host tournaments there. You host putting leagues. You get more involved with your community as well. Like that's I'd say probably one of the biggest things is if you want to be a successful store, you want your community is going to be the one that you're supplying. They're not going online buying discs. They're coming into your store because you built a nice connection with them. So, um, but I don't know. I think just keep on keeping on. And if you're in the East Coast, I'll probably come see you at some point this year.
So
So,
yeah, how do people get a hold of you if they're like in a store in the East Coast or any store? If they were like, "Hey, I want to connect with Josiah," how do they do that?
well, I have I mean, you could always, you know, reach me on social media and all that, but and then I also have like my own profile on our wholesale account. As you know, most dealers, if you do buy from us, you should be able to see that. So that is my personal number on there. So if you want me out, come, you know, reach out, hang out. I do plan ahead and try to get out and reach out to them as much as I can before I show up as well. So but I do look forward to it, and I'm happy to take any calls or emails if you know you specifically want to reach out and hang out. So even if I'm not in the area, you know, that's kind of what I'm here for this company though is I'm here to help. So
Real quick, what I like to end with our on the interviews is: do you have a question, either a question for me or a question for the audience to leave in the comments? What question would you have? Any question at all.
dang, Bobby, I don't know. uh I don't know. I don't have anything.
You don't
I don't
have any
really have
questions?
anything.
You know
I don't know if
everything.
I have any questions. No, okay, here's a good one.
Okay.
Where do you see disc golf in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years,
Fast forward 5 years.
I
Where
see
are we?
we are going to be.
International,
Yeah,
U.S. We're at
I hope that we're in some sort of big stage like the world. What is it? The world WFH or something. I know people are going to get mad that I don't even know
not the
officially, but
Olympics.
well, either the Olympics or the world flying something or other. What's it called? World flying something? I don't know. I'm gonna get so bashed for not knowing what that is. But there's that event that I would love to see us more into. I think we're gonna be in one of those. I think we're still gonna have people complaining that we're not growing fast enough, and then we're gonna have people that are complaining that we're growing too fast. So it's so I think, in other words, some things are never gonna change. But I do
Right.
believe in 5 years, we're going to eventually get over that hump of, the COVID. Like, we're gonna start it is gonna be irrelevant. Not irrelevant, but it's gonna be we're gonna move past it. I still believe we're still feeling a little bit of the effects, based on reading, about other industries, but we're gonna be beyond that. And I think we're always gonna want more, and we gotta realize that you want more, but you also want to make sure you work with what you got. I remember watching an maybe from the 70s. It was from either 70s or 80s, an old disc golf tournament coverage on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it, but they were advertising that Pizza Hut was
Mm,
sponsoring the event, right?
uh-huh.
And the language they were using, if you just listened to it, you would think they were using this, they were in the present, because they were saying things like, we are on the cusp of growth. We just need big sponsors. If we just had more money, like Pizza Hut, they're coming in and they're sponsoring us. then this sport would just blow up. It's about ready
Yeah.
to blow up. And it's like, that is like what I've been hearing year after year after year. So I almost
And
want
that
to
was
get
in
to,
like the 90s, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think I remember that video. It was like a Worlds or something,
Yeah, and I
right?
think
Like that
Pizza Hut
was
was I don't know if it was I don't think it was Pizza Hut at the corporate level, I think it was Pizza Hut more at the local level, but it still had that same sentiment of, like, "If we just need this, we're right there," and part of me is like, "Yes, I get it." If we have Barbasol, which is awesome, we have Powerball, which is awesome. A lot of
yeah.
people are like, "If we only had Nike, disc golf would just take off." And I agree. I completely agree. You're right. If we had Nike, there would be a uptick, right? But it's almost like, man, let's just work with what we got right now and not worry too much about the Nikes and the Reeboks coming in. Let's work with what we got now, and what I love about your story, Josiah, and I'm not trying, I don't know if I need to go there, but I'm not trying to take away from anybody else's journey. But what I appreciate about your journey is your positivity through everything that's happened. And your outlook has been, that sucked. That's not, things happened that weren't good, but I'm here to make the most of it and figure out how to make it through the stuff. And again, anybody, people are going to read more into that than they need to, but I am a full believer in that. You make with what you have and you try to go forward with it, and I love that you've done that. And I know these other people, there's others out there, and I'm not just talking, look, let's just lay it out. I'm not talking about just House of Discs. I'm talking about anybody that's gone through the crap of the last few years that disc golf has gone through. They've figured out how to make it work either in disc golf or outside of disc golf or a different way. And so I applaud you for doing that and being here. And I love that you're still part of everything here, because I know you're going to do bigger and better things. So I think that's amazing.
Well,
Um,
I do appreciate, being a part of it still, and it's good to have a good team surrounding us too. We have good people back in Emporia, and we have good people all around the world. And but I'm also fortunate to have a great support system, and great family, great friends surrounding me that push me harder each day, even if I don't get to see them. I don't get to see my Colorado people very often anymore. But they're constantly rooting for me and hyping me up. And so like there's no way I can be negative or have a I'm a big believer in kind of manifesting what you want. And if you want to do it, you got to try. You can't just say it and say it. You have to put forth the effort. But life will give back to you for sure, if you're generous and if you're kind, but also if you can and have the power to grab what you want and go get it, and again, like I said, it's great to have support, because there's people that do it all by themselves with no help and nobody to lean on. And I'm so lucky to have so many people, past and present, that I can just call and ask for advice. And like people like, Dana Vici, Maverick Robertson, Avery Jenkins, just to shout out a few of these people that have really helped me get to where I am today. And any one of those guys will pick up the phone if I call and, hey, what do I do here? Like,
I love
so,
it. That's awesome.
grateful, very grateful. And that's, I'll leave you with that, is I'm extremely grateful to be where I'm at, and excited for the future and to continue to learn and get better at everything every day.
Fantastic. All
So,
right. Well, Josiah, I appreciate you hopping on the show, learning a little bit more about you, and then a little bit more about what you got going on. So, yeah. And we'll have to check back in after a little while to see where you're at, see what's going on, see how the disc golf is trending in your world. And yeah, have a great one.
yeah, you too, Bobby. Thank you.